This is Dan Dicks here, reporting for Press for Truth, coming at you here today with another video on the Charlie Kirk assassination, because new information is coming out by the hour. Every single day there's a whole bunch of new stuff to cover that really is just raising a lot more questions than it is providing answers. Like, why in the immediate aftermath of this shooting can what appears to be members of Charlie Kirk's team are taking down a camera that was set up there? One would think that the police would have this cornered off as an active crime scene, and yet it appears that members of Charlie's team can be seen here taking down the cameras. If you zoom in on what he was dealing with here, that clearly is a DSLR camera. Did the police just not close this off properly? Was this guy just engaging in his normal teardown that he does after every one of these events and not, realizing it's an active crime scene? I mean, again, this just seems like bizarre behavior that really needs to be looked at and questioned. We see not only that, but they're completely overhauling the entire crime scene. There's footage of this. A guy points out, like, we're not even a week into this situation, and this is an active crime scene still under investigation, and they're laying down concrete slabs. They've already completely changed the area where Charlie Kirk was shot. So again, this is very, very peculiar. There's also the case with this guy. You may recall he was initially arrested, shouting out that I killed Charlie Kirk. Here he is, being taken away by police, saying, shoot me, I shot him, so now shoot me. Well, it turns out that this guy was really just trying to distract the police from the real shooter, he says. And you got to ask yourself, guys, what is more reasonable? What's more plausible here? If we look at Occam's razor, the most logical outcome is that this man just spontaneously, in the heat of the moment, decided that he was going to try to distract the police so he could allow the real shooter to get away? Or is it more plausible that this man had prior knowledge and was somehow involved with all of this? I think it's pretty ridiculous to think that he just spontaneously thought of this on the spot to try to distract the police so he could help the real shooter get away. It's absolutely bizarre. We also now have video footage of the alleged shooter here reacting to the news that he's going to be facing the death sentence in a Zoom video. And it's kind of bizarre that at this day and age, we're getting such highly pixelated footage of somebody like this reacting to the fact that he's going to potentially receive the death sentence. Here he kind of looks down and to the left you can see looking, I don't know if he's concerned or if he's just completely like soulless. Like he barely has an emotion on his face here. Almost looks like he's completely doped up on SSRIs. Now here's where things get really wild, guys. Tyler Robinson's charged in Kirk assassination urged his trans boyfriend to stay silent. How did he do this? In text messages. Read the final text messages that Charlie Kirk suspect Tyler Robinson sent his trans lover after the assassination. So in this video, we're going to go over the full text message conversation here, because as I said, again, this whole new bit of information is really just raising way more questions than it's giving answers, guys. So we're going to talk about that and much more in this video. But really quickly, before we do, guys, I'd ask that you check me out here at this Give, Send, Go campaign if you do want to help save and protect Press for Truth moving forward. Thank you so much to the 55 people who have contributed so far. Your contribution is very, very greatly appreciated. If you don't want to give at Give, Send, Go, you can also donate at pressfortruth.ca/donate, where you can do one-time donation with PayPal. You can do Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies. You can sign up for a monthly recurring contribution there or there. Thank you so much to everybody who contributes in that way. You can send an e-transfer to dan@pressfortruth.ca, or you can send stuff to my P.O. box, guys. Links for all of this are located in the description below. Once again, thank you so much to anybody who takes a minute today to support my efforts to bring you this information. All right, guys, let's go over these text messages. It starts off with, he says, "What? You're joking, right?" And this is in reference to the alleged shooter saying, "Hey, go look underneath my keyboard. I left a note there." I covered this the other day in a live stream. Alleged death note. I had the opportunity to take out Charlie Kirk, and I'm going to take it. That's what he allegedly wrote on this note. So the kid goes over, he looks at the note, and he's like, "What? You're joking, right?" And he says, "I am still okay, my love, but I'm stuck in Orem for a little while longer yet. Shouldn't be long until I can come home, but I gotta grab my rifle still. To be honest, I had hoped to keep this a secret till the day, till I died of old age. I'm sorry to involve you." And then the boyfriend says, "You weren't the one who did it, right?" And then the shooter just apparently confesses. He says, "I am. I'm sorry." And then the other guy says, "But I thought they caught the person." So he says, "No, they grabbed some crazy old dude and then interrogated someone in similar clothing. I had planned to grab my rifle from the drop point shortly after, but most of that side of town got locked down. It's quiet, almost enough to get out, but there's one vehicle lingering." And then his transitioning boyfriend asks, "Why? Why did I do it?" "Yeah." So he says, "I had enough of his hatred. Some hate just can't be negotiated out. If I'm able to grab my rifle unseen, I will have left no evidence," except for this text message exchange. "I will have left no evidence going to attempt to retrieve it again. Hopefully they will have moved on. I haven't seen anything about them finding it." "How long have you been planning this?" the boyfriend asks. "A bit over a week, I believe. I can get close to it, but there is a squad car parked right by it. I think they already swept that spot, but I don't want to chance it. I'm wishing I had circled back and grabbed it as soon as I got my vehicle. I'm worried what my old man might do if I didn't bring back Grandpa's rifle. I don't even know if it had a serial number, but it wouldn't trace to me. I worry about prints I had to leave it in a bush where I changed outfits. Didn't have the ability or time to bring it with. I might have to abandon it and hope that they don't find prints. How the blank will I explain losing it to my old man? Only thing I left was the rifle in a towel. Remember how I was engraving bullets? The blank messages are mostly a big meme. If I see notices bulge UWU on Fox News, I might have a stroke. All right, I'm going to have to leave it. That really blanking sucks. Judging from today, I'd say Grandpa's gun does just fine. I don't know. I think that was a $2,000 scope. Delete this exchange," he says. "My dad wants photos of the rifle. He says Grandpa wants to know who has what. The feds released a photo of the rifle, and it is very unique. He's calling me right now," not answering. "Since Trump got into office, my dad has been pretty diehard MAGA. I'm going to turn myself in willingly. One of my neighbors here is a deputy for the sheriff. You are all I worry about, love. I'm much more worried about you," says the transgender boyfriend. "Don't talk to the media. Please don't take any interviews or make any comments. If any police asks you questions, ask for a lawyer and stay silent." So how bizarre is this, guys? Does it really seem logical that this guy incriminates himself in text messages and he communicates exactly what crime he committed, detail by detail? I mean, he openly confesses to it right here. "Yes, why did you do it?" "I did it. Yeah, I'm sorry." "Why did you do it?" And then the motive, right? "Oh, because he has too much hate and I had to take him out because of that." You know, he talks about leaving the rifle at a drop spot. He talks about the rifle being wrapped up in a towel. He talks about inscribing the engravings on the bullets. Like, this is absolutely everything. You know, he says he's going to turn himself in. Don't talk about it. It's just absolutely ridiculous to me. Like this lady here, this is going viral. She says, I showed this to my 21 and 23-year-old sons, and they said nobody they know this age texts like that. Do you know anyone who's 22 years old who texts other kids like this? They don't use complete sentences with correct punctuation. And it's an interesting, valid point she's making. So let's take a look at this article here that kind of delves into some of the more questionable things here. Charlie Kirk's alleged assassin Tyler Robinson texted his transgender partner explaining his motive for the shooting, court's documents show. But some observers have cast doubt over the stilted exchange. In what turned out to be the pair's final text conversation, Robinson, 22, told his lover, Lance Twiggs, 22, to drop what you are doing and look under my keyboard. The alleged shooter had left a note that read, I had the opportunity to take out Charlie Kirk, and I'm going to take it, prosecutor said. By the way, guys, like I said, I did like over an hour and a half long live stream on this alleged death note. If you guys don't want to miss my, live streams in the future, make sure you subscribe to me at Odyssey or BitChute or Minds or Rumble or Bastion or YouTube, as you can see with the classic Simpsons meh, because, they've been known to delete my channel multiple times before, so it's possible to do it again. But that's why you need to subscribe to me on all these ones if you don't want to miss any of my live streams where I, break down all this stuff. But that's where it all started. So he's like, what? You're joking, right? What are you talking about? And, we've already kind of looked at this whole exchange. We saw this viral tweet of the one saying, 20-year-olds don't talk like this, and here's the entire text message exchange. The peculiar way that the couple talk in their text has sparked wild conspiracy theories online that they were faked. Observers noted that the text exchange also very conveniently mirrors details in the probable cause affidavit. And it really does. Like, this includes reference to engravings on the bullets, a rifle wrapped in a towel that was left in the woods near where the shooter was perched, and his motive to take out Kirk, because he had enough of his hatred. Like, again, why are they going to put all of this evidence in a text message thread if they're trying to get away with this? Ex-user Evan Gilgore says he ran the text through ChatGPT and claimed that it found them to be most likely fabricated, alleging that they are far too detailed and too incriminating to be real. However, Daily Wire MAGA commentator Matt Walsh countered that the text messages may have been planned by Robinson beforehand. And this is what Matt Walsh has to say about the situation. He says, the most plausible and sensible theory isn't that the FBI made up the text messages and released them, but that the killer and his boyfriend constructed this highly scripted text conversation as an alibi for the boyfriend. I don't know that to be the case, obviously, but it is a highly plausible scenario. And I would agree it's plausible that they would construct a highly scripted text conversation as an alibi for the boyfriend. But I think everybody is pretty clear that it seems to be highly scripted text conversation, whether that be this guy or whether that be the powers that ought not be are trying to set this guy up to, take the fall for this. Again, more questions than answers are coming up from all of this, guys. Further down the messages, Twiggs also references the arrest of George Zinn, 21-year-old bystander who was held on obstruction of justice charges, and asked, I thought they caught the person. And he says, no, that was just some crazy old dude. before going into further details about all this. And again, you know, it begs the question, did this guy who was just randomly at this event, right, all of a sudden hear a gunshot and spontaneously make the decision to just jump into action and cause a distraction for the police to try to, you know, help this shooter get away? Well, this old man apparently does have a long history of being an agent provocateur type of guy. He apparently called in some bomb threats. He like emailed somebody saying, hey, do you want me to help you set up some bombs? And this was shortly after the Boston bombing situation. He's also appeared in 9/11 videos. There's other... The guy's basically got a rap sheet of doing things that would look like he's an agent provocateur. So, again, it begs the question. You know, you got to look at Occam's razor. What's more plausible here? Is he somehow involved? Did he have foreknowledge? Or did he just spontaneously spring to action and decide, I'm going to try to help, you know, help this shooter escape? Again, guys, just way more questions than we are getting answers. We already read all the exchange. It's pretty much going through that mostly here. But yeah, we see the guy in video footage looking completely dazed and confused. He's showing just a flash of emotion as prosecutors officially filed to seek the death penalty. And honestly, it kind of reminds me of the James Holmes Batman Theater shooter, who also appeared almost looking dazed and confused. He just didn't even know what's going on. He's totally emotionless, probably hopped up on SSRI drugs. And this kid is kind of showing very, very similar kind of dazed and confused looks, absolutely soulless and emotionless, as he's being told he might face the death penalty. So again, there's really just way more questions than we're getting answers in all of this, guys. I've been covering this since it started. If you haven't seen my videos, make sure you check them out, like this one, When Discourse Ends, Violence Begins. That's my raw, just immediate reaction to the shooting that I just wanted to get on the record. There's my deep dive, Who Really Killed Charlie Kirk? That's an important one to watch. This one, the suspect Tyler Robinson has been arrested for the assassination of Charlie Kirk, but who is he? This one, good news. Those who celebrated the death of Charlie Kirk are now suffering the consequences. And of course, my recent live stream. Now, speaking of this one, guys, I've been getting a lot of backlash online, people claiming that I'm not for free speech or I'm somehow in favor of cancel culture. And so I had to address that in this post here. And I want to share it with you today. So in case you missed it, a few days ago, I posted the attached video, and I've been slammed in the comment section by people claiming I'm not supporting free speech and I'm somehow endorsing cancel culture, which is not the case at all. The reality is, I am an advocate for free speech, and I fully support these people's rights to say whatever they want, no matter how distasteful or insensitive it may be. But that doesn't change the fact that, as in all choices made in life, they come with consequences. And sometimes the poor choices that people make with their free speech leads to bad consequences. It's just a fact of life. And importantly, guys, I'm not saying that there should be consequences. I'm just saying that sometimes there are consequences. Furthermore, the left engages in cancel culture on people who say things like, you know, things that are objectively true. Like, men can't become women. Whereas the left have been saying things like, I'm glad Charlie is dead because he was a Nazi, which is an abhorrent lie, which has led to social consequences, and rightly so. So sometimes if you exercise your free speech poorly, which I fully support they do, and have the right to, well, sometimes you're going to suffer the consequences of doing so. But that doesn't change the fact that I support their right to do so. So I felt I've had to clarify myself again because there are so many comments on this video who completely are getting it completely wrong. So I just wanted to point that out, guys. But again, there's so many questions about what's happening with this guy. You know, is he a deranged leftist lunatic who has been brainwashed by his woke university and by the media and by his transgender boyfriend to think that Charlie Kirk is just full of hate and needs to be taken out. I mean, we can't all sit here and say we have all the answers. That's a real possibility. Is he being radicalized by criminal elements within the intelligence communities to actually carry this thing out? As we often find out, there's, informants involved and, undercover FBI agents who are radicalizing him. That's very, very possible as well. Or was this carried out by the deep state entirely? And this guy is just being used as a patsy to take the fall for what the deep state did. I mean, all of these things are very much still on the table. And I would point you to this tweet that I put out way back on September 10th when it all went down, and it's gone completely viral, 2.4 million views, where I said, listen very closely here to the answer that Charlie Kirk gives to a question from the audience. If he was taken out by criminal elements within the intelligence community, this would be their number one reason for doing so. Listen to his brilliant answer that I think upset the powers that ought not be, because they don't want this information spreading any further than it already has. It's a big if, but it's worth considering. And in a nutshell, guys, what happened in this video is a member from the audience was asking Charlie Kirk and Pastor Cliff Connectley here, who's brilliant in his own right, by the way. He's been debating kids on college campuses since 1980, and it's absolutely phenomenal. Just look him up on YouTube, Ask Cliff, do a search and you'll find his channel. But anyway, somebody in the audience was asking Charlie about the United States being founded on Christian principles, and his friends were challenging him on that, saying, no, it's more related to common law. And Charlie basically outlines the case for why and how America was in fact founded on Christian principles, but then he goes on further to say that essentially without Christ moving forward, it's absolutely pointless to try to fight for true liberty. And he suggests that, yes, America is founded on Christian principles, but they're not acting on Christian principles. And unless we return to Christian principles, things are only going to get worse. And in fact, you're only going to see true revolution when we return to Christ. And that's basically what he says in this video that's going viral. And like I said in the tweet, if he was taken out by criminal elements within the intelligence community, this would be their number one reason for doing so. So if you haven't seen that, guys, I'd encourage you to check it out. But just wanted to bring all of this to your attention. Again, pretty bizarre that he would outline everything in the affidavit, all the evidence, like piece by piece, in this text message exchange with his transgender boyfriend. It seems a little bizarre to me. Let me know what you guys think about all of this in the comments section below. And once again, if you do appreciate my efforts to bring you all this information, guys, don't forget to check me out at this Give, Send, Go campaign, or you can contribute at pressfortruth.ca/donate. Once again, I can't do this work without you, so thank you so much to everybody who takes 1 minute today to support my efforts to bring you this information here at Press for Truth. And that's all for today, guys. Once again, just wanted to bring that to your attention as the news is coming out by the hour. We're getting updated with stuff every single day, so I'm going to continue to, update you as it comes in. Again, if you do appreciate that, make sure you click that thumbs up button. Make sure you share this video as well with your friends and family who you think need to see it the most. And stay tuned, guys. I'm going to have more video reports coming soon, God willing. This is Dan Dicks reporting for Press for Truth. We all want truth. The truth will set you free.